Welcome to the Digital Brand Builder Podcast, where we bring you the best growth strategies from the world's experts to help build your business fast. And now, here's your host, Mark Fidelman.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Digital Brand Builder Podcast. Joining me today is Matt DeCoursey, and we're going to talk about something we haven't talked about yet, and that is how to create long-term evergreen content. And from my perspective, this content should both brand the organization and help sell, or if you're a B2B, generate leads. So, Matt, look forward to this conversation. Welcome to the show. And can you tell us a little bit about yourself in 200 words or less?
Sure. Well, first off, Mark, thanks for having me on the show. I appreciate the time, and hopefully it can offer some valuable insight. Once again, my name is Matt DeCoursey. I am the CEO and co-founder of a tech services company named Fullscale. We provide services. We help software companies build teams of developers in our office in the Philippines. Now, past that, I'm also the co-host of the Startup Hustle podcast, published over 350 episodes, and I have also written 3 books.
Wonderful. Well, we're happy you're on the show, and going to just start diving into, what it is that I want my audience to learn about. So first of all, let's define what long-term evergreen content is.
So there's a lot of people out there that talk about creating content, and this is a really good question. So what is that, and what kind of content matters now? What kind of content matters later? When I hear the term evergreen content, I think about something that doesn't have a shelf life, meaning it still provides value and offers a visitor, a reader, a listener, someone, it has lasting value. Now, that can come in a number of different ways, but I mean, it's really something that isn't dated. So like a news article is, for most part, not what I would call evergreen content. A piece written about leadership or how to build a business with some timeless advice would be a better example of evergreen content.
Okay. And, when we talk about creating this long-term content, what needs to be done prior to even starting that?
Got to have some kind of plan. And then really, whether it's evergreen content or any kind of content, if you want people to care about it, pay attention to it, or find value in it, it has to provide something to them. You have to entertain them. You have to give them some kind of advice, or you have to give them, tell them a story or something like that. So, when it comes to evergreen content, it's a long play, and it's something that planning and creating it needs to be. You should have a systematic approach to it. You should have some idea of what you're doing. Like, so taking pictures and posting them on Instagram, not evergreen content. Now, creating a long-term blog marketing plan with articles that link to each other and provide value, and, have different types of embedded media and stuff like that. That's how you would create a plan for evergreen content.
I mean, because we do content for our clients, obviously, and I like video, although, we've done infographics, but we always start from a perspective of understanding who their target audience is, and then either doing surveys or research or something to truly understand who they are. And then the creative part kicks in, which is one of my favorite things is, okay, how do we creatively educate, entertain, everything that you just said, and come up with those concepts? So, I mean, how do you do that?
It really depends. You have to start by defining your audience. Who are you trying to reach? Who is the likely person or organization that's going to absorb your content? And then what message resonates to them? So you have different kinds of value that people are going to find. So give me an industry. Name an industry.
Let's say pet products.
Okay, so people that have pets, they're going to possibly, first off, there's a lot of people that have pets. So what kind of pet do they have? Are you looking for dog owners? Or are you looking for cat owners?
Let's say cats.
Okay,
yeah.
All right. So if you're looking for cats, then you're going to, all right, so we've defined that. So you want to be pretty clear with the plan. Like, you're going to title your articles and put the content, it needs to be, you shouldn't be publishing a blog article aimed for cat people that says 9 ways to walk your dog, or something like that. Obviously that's not a very good approach. And then, what kind of value are people going to look? So, and I'm not a subject matter expert on pet ownership, but, people that own pets, I'm assuming that they're going to want to research animals' characteristics. They're going to possibly want to find healthier avenues for, like, so you could have pet insurance, you could have pet food. What are the benefits of each or whatever? And then in some cases, it might also be looking up, maybe to change behavioral aspects of an animal. So, with that plan, you'll want to structure evergreen content around something specific. I wouldn't advise anyone to create an article that covered all of that in one. Those are all separate subjects. You'd be watering down an evergreen article by getting too broad with it.
And then how do you figure out what's going to be evergreen and what's kind of whimsical? With cats, especially with cats, Matt, if you look at how many videos are out there, are overdone. So it seems like something that's going to be evergreen I look at it as, okay, would this person print this out, or would they bookmark it, or would they, save this video for the future? And then always the issue is, okay, how do we reach these cat owners in a way that they haven't already seen or heard, especially in this industry where it's been extremely overdone?
Sure. So, something that, once again, if you're discussing, the term evergreen should not have a shelf life. So characteristics of a Siamese cat, as an example of, that's the first thing that came to mind if we had to produce an evergreen article. So I would think that the characteristics and behavioral aspects, and obviously the appearance of Siamese cats, has not changed in a very long time. So that, the evergreen approach doesn't require constant updating. Now, let's say you did an article on a litter of 6 Siamese kittens that you had available right now. Well, once those are gone, that article expired. Now, you could still kind of swing that into an evergreen approach, but you're going to have to do maintenance. You're going to have to go up and update it. When I think of an evergreen article, I look at something that you set it and forget it. It's like it posts and you don't have to go back and do anything to it. It doesn't have a shelf life. Not everything theoretically has a shelf life, but certain things. Yeah. Well, I'll give you an example. So technology changes a lot. And so one of the things that, like, front end technology for programmers changes a whole lot. And so with that, we'll write articles that are about a specific type of tech, but not necessarily each individual version. Because if we said like Angular as a popular front end technology, and it comes out with a new version quarterly or something like that. So, unless you're wanting to be specific about that version, you're going to sentence yourself to constantly updating and maintaining that article to keep it current. Otherwise, people are going to find it. It's going to look dated, and they just bounce.
Got it. Okay. So I understand the challenges of what I'm talking about, which is, okay, how do you come up with something that's entertaining? On the evergreen front, what you're talking about is, okay, these have a longer shelf life than your typical article. And okay, so now that we've got that definition, this is mostly on me, by the way, not on you. Why is evergreen content more important than the average, blog post or social post that's put out there?
When I think of a podcast article, a blog, any of that stuff, you have human capital that goes into it, your own time, your own effort. I look at everything that we publish or produce that is, quote, evergreen as being a digital asset. So, the longer it's able to produce a return, the more value that you have out of it. Now, I really suggest that anybody and everybody always take an evergreen approach. That's the best place to start. I have blog articles from years ago that still get significant traffic in different web properties that I own, and that's because there's an evergreen nature to them.
Yeah, the same. I could say the same for video as well. Although I don't know if the SEO value is as good for video than for the articles like what you're doing. Are you just dealing in articles, or do you venture into podcasts and video? Well, I know you have a podcast, but for your clients, are you venturing into audio and video as well?
Well, we don't do a lot of marketing services for our clients. Now, with that, I do refer to Fullscale as if you want to learn about what we do, you can go to fullscale.io, where I often refer to us as a marketing company that happens to sell tech services. Now, I say that because I like the marketing approach first, but when it comes to I'll give you an example. Today we published, or yesterday we had an article, what is affiliate marketing? And that article, the definition of affiliate marketing isn't going to change a whole lot over the upcoming however many years this exists. Now, there are other things that go with it. You mentioned liking video, and video can stick around for a while, but it also has a shelf life as well. Some of that I think is a little more centric around it just not looking dated. But there's videos on YouTube that are 8, 9, 10 years old that still get significant traffic. So I think the same thing with podcasts. I'm sure this show is the same. I don't get the same amount of traffic on episode 5 as we get on episode 365.
Yeah. I mean, the problem with podcasts is the search engines aren't that great. And
right.
I don't think people go to podcasts to do search. They go to Google, they go to YouTube. Those are 1 and 2 actually. And maybe Bing. So I like video because it'll show up forever.
Right.
Just as you mentioned, there's still some of my best performing videos are 4 years old because they were evergreen topics.
I have a comment on that though. One of the things that I've seen, so our podcast has been out for about 3 years, and we get significant traffic. We have over a million lifetime downloads, and we're in the 60 to 70,000 download a month range right now. And I'm seeing a level of sophistication come up. I find our podcast, Google now indexes podcasts and does a lot of different stuff. And I think that some things that we may not have considered to be as evergreen or SEO friendly may make a resurgence, because there's a lot of voice recognition technology and a lot of stuff like that seems to be entering the podcast world that's making it easier to find stuff. So to go with that as well, we look at any podcast aggregator as a search engine. So when we title our episodes and stuff like that, we do give some consideration to what would someone search for if they were looking for an individual episode.
Do you look at the data? I mean, because I use Libsyn for my syndicator. Do you have any data as to how popular your episodes were from last year versus any other year to see if people are still downloading them? Do you have any ideas as to what that looks like?
Yeah, one of the challenges with podcast analytics, and it's getting a little better, but overall, it's still terrible. People ask me how many subscribers do you have, and you shrug. You're like, I don't know. Like, what do you mean you don't know? There's nothing that accurately tells you, and it all feels like half a guess. And
it is.
As far as the lifetime value of old episodes, I mean, every month. Every episode in the history of Startup Hustle gets a listen. Now, there is a sharp drop off. I refer to your podcast analytics. They look like Enron stock because they start real high and then they fall off a cliff. And
right.
And then but the thing is if you want to have, if people are finding the great thing about podcasts and the evergreen nature of that is if people like your show and they like what you do, they'll go back. And we have some people, and God bless every single one of them, that have listened to every episode. And, we have 370 at the time of this recording. And, now the funny thing is if I go back and listen to episode 5, I have absolute terror. A feeling of terror that we even let something that low of quality out, perhaps. So we've gotten a lot better at it, but yeah.
You have to start somewhere. I think that's admirable that you even put something out like that. You didn't know at episode 5, but maybe you did, that you're going to produce 350 and that you'd get better over time. I mean, you can't start perfect. It just doesn't work that way.
No, we always we give a lot of advice and have a lot of conversations with startup founders and entrepreneurs. And sometimes you just have to jump and build wings at some point when it comes to this stuff. And Nike says it best: just do it. And it's the same thing for anybody that's wanting to create a content. When it comes to content marketing, everyone tells you need to do it, and no one really very few effectively tell you how to do it.
Yeah.
Because it's hard. And and the thing is, you have to be, if you're going to do evergreen marketing, another thing is you have to have, and within your plan, you have to have a level of consistency and repetition that matters, because Google doesn't care about the website that has 2 articles on the back end of it. Like, you just no one really cares. And another thing too is, if you plan it appropriately and you use cross-channel marketing and just different things, like, for example, in the blog at Full Scale, we have YouTube videos embedded, we have podcast episodes embedded, and that stuff all needs to, kind of light the fuse on the other stuff. And that needs to be part of your plan as well.
Yeah, I mean, the biggest problem I have is, coming up with what are the ideas and the content that you're going to produce that hasn't been done before, or does that even matter? Like you brought up earlier, you did an article on what is affiliate marketing. Well, I guarantee you there's 1,000 articles like that.
Yep.
So what goes through your mind when you produce something like that? Is it that you already have a high producing site that Google recognizes and will, move that up to page 2 or 1? Or is there something else that you have in mind when you produce something like that?
So I love the long tail. I'm not, I think, trying to be number one for the term affiliate marketing. Like, if that was my goal, that wouldn't be a goal. That would be a fantasy, because it's not going to happen anytime soon. We're not Inc.com or Entrepreneur.com or anything like that. I mean, the history of the internet means that pretty much everyone's done it at least once. So, we're looking in an article like that. It's either, in this case, that's a value add. That's something that we might show to a client or get out there and do some different stuff. So I'm not necessarily planning on being first for that, but the approach is, what is affiliate marketing? Don't undervalue or underestimate how many people just type a question into a search engine and ask. So it may come up, who knows? But in that case, I'd be expecting that to come up with some other keyword that might be in the article.
Okay. So you're hoping for a long tail that,
Yep.
What is affiliate marketing, but for cat owners or cat product businesses, something like that, right?
Yep. Yeah, and in that case, it would be a little more centric around, probably about someone including the word startup in there or something like that. So
yeah, okay. Well, that makes more sense, because I'm always looking at, here's content, and here's the internet, which is a vast sea of content that is, some of it's good, some of it sucks. How do you position it so that you're going to be found more than all the other millions of things that are out in that vast sea? And that's really the challenge. And I'm always curious as to what other marketers do in this. What is your thought process around that and making sure that it gets discovered? Are you simply putting terms in the article and hoping for that long tail, or is there something else that you're doing?
Well, I think it starts with the title. And, the title, if you're just using a basic WordPress site or something like that, that also many times turns into your URL. Those things are looked at, that's how Google's looking at. And you have to, so in my book, $1 Million Bedroom, I actually have a section that says, think like a search engine. Search engines are logical. They are looking, their job is to, Google is trying to put a searcher on top of the best results that answer the question that they're looking for. So, there are things that matter, like I see people do a lot of dumb stuff. They take a screenshot of something and then they upload that image to their blog article, and then that file name is like screenshot 438987683.png. And, and it does, it's not labeled or anything like that. So if you're going to think like a search engine, you got to, like, why would a search engine want to recommend you? And it needs to be either relevant references or what it's going to lead you to, or, or you have a hell of a lot of links to that, which probably isn't the case, especially right after you publish something. So, and then other things too is like I mentioned having videos embedded, having podcasts embedded. Remember, search engines want to take a visitor to the highest quality result that it can find. So, if it sees an article that's titled related to what the search is, the images are labeled similar to that. There's a video, there's a podcast, there's links to other resources in case that visitor doesn't find what they need. The search engine likes that.
So let's say you come up with the content, the title, everything you just described, and you structure it properly. What team do you need to deliver it? What is an average team in a startup? What should it look like?
Well, I'm fortunate because we have a 12-person marketing team. I have about 200 employees. So we have a team of 6 writers. We have 3 graphic designers, 2 video editors, and a CMO. Now, here's the thing. You don't need any of that to publish your own articles. I mean, you, as a startup or a solopreneur, you can create content. It's your own time. Now, looking at that from the outside in, it's like looking at an elephant and someone just told you to eat it. So the thing is you got to eat that elephant one bite at a time. So, as far as a team goes, I mean, you can be the team. I really recommend if you are, so one of the comments that people have given me over the years as an author is like, oh, I've always wanted to write a book. I'm like, well, why aren't you? They're like, well, I'm still thinking about it. What do I need to do? I'm like, you should start by going home and writing something, dude. Yeah. Like anything. So, you can create the content, but people are overwhelmingly uncomfortable writing. So, businesses like yours that can help with that team, help implement it. Now, I really, 15 years ago or 10 years ago, I wouldn't have been as adamant about using a company like yours. Now, I recommend these things because, there's something to be said about people that have done it and understand it. Avoiding errors and that learning curve are important. So, I mean, it really depends. I mean, you can go anywhere from doing it yourself to, finding businesses like yours, outsourcing it or whatever. I mean, it's just, there's a lot of ways to go about doing it. Now for us, we have a bit of an assembly line. So 5 days a week, we publish a high quality article in the Full Scale blog. We also publish 5 podcasts a week. So now it's taken us quite a bit of effort, energy, and emotion to get that process down. And that's why we're able to do the content, the number of it. But, I really recommend whether you're doing it as a startup or working with someone, you want to try to learn to make it a process. So you're not having to figure out how to do something for all 6 steps that you might want to come up with.
Okay. I mean, it's very good advice. That process is the way I think to do it. Also have a content calendar and stick to it closely.
Yep.
Now, why do it? I mean, I know a lot of people are like, oh, it's a lot of work to produce this stuff and keep people entertained and all that. And it's so competitive out there. Why should people create this content?
Okay. So let's say that you want to do business with my company, Full Scale, right? So theoretically, if we strip away all the bells and whistles, we employ a bunch of software developers. So do a lot of people. There's a lot of programmers out there. There's a lot of companies. So what makes me different? Why do I want to do business with you? And when it comes to creating content, this is the reason I wrote books. Like people ask me a lot. They say, oh, you've had 3 number 1 books on Amazon. Have you made a lot of money selling books? Hell no. Whoa. I wrote books to establish myself as a subject matter expert. It's like an advanced business card. No one throws away a book. It feels weird to throw away a book. People throw away a business card before they even get back to their car in the parking lot sometimes. Now, so whether it's a book is a good example of evergreen content. I find my book everywhere. When I go all around town and visit people, I see my book sitting on shelves, doing this, doing that. And sometimes on a funny note, people send me pictures of my book doing funny things. So like, man, this book sucks, but it holds my wobbly table up well. So it doesn't, but here's the thing. They're still seeing it. They still look at it.
And your name and title, yes.
Right. Now, the thing is there's a million people that do what you do. I don't care how unique you think you are. There's a bunch of people that do what you do or can do what you do on some level. So what differentiates you? So for example, and we have a multi-pronged approach. So not only do we have our blog, which gets significant traffic through web search, the podcast. So if you're going to come hire me as hire Full Scale as a development service, you would feel a little better knowing that I know what you need because I've been down the road. I've been a startup founder. I've been an entrepreneur. I've invested over $1 million in startups. I've done a lot of stuff. And every day of the week, I have a conversation similar to this with people like you. So that content, it starts to stack up. And, for us, it's a lead here, a lead there. And then I'll just try to sound humble when I say this, but we have become so effective at it that a lot of the leads we find now, people are like, oh, well, I found your blog and that was great, but then I listened to your podcast and I felt like I got to know you. And then we reached out and that is a great situation to be in. But how are you going to differentiate yourself from someone? If I don't feel like you're a subject matter expert and I'm operating on a more than beginner's level, then I need you to feel credible and I need to know that you're a subject matter expert. Otherwise, I'm just going to move on down the line. If you don't look like you're in the business of doing whatever it is that you say that you do, you have problems and you don't even know it.
Yeah, I think you nailed everything I would have said with there's one other thing I think I'd add to that is with that content you're putting out there and building yourself up as a subject matter expert and an influencer, you can actually charge premium rates because people want to deal with someone that's well known. It's like doing business with IBM. I'm going way back on this reference, but you'd pay more to do business with IBM because you felt more comfortable. It was a big brand. You felt proud to say you're working with IBM. And I think there's a whole thing around premium pricing that we could get into.
100%. Yeah. And by the way, that is part of our model. I mean, we are very upfront that we have a premium service offering. Even the employees we hire, like we need them to be in the top 10% of wherever they're at in their career designation. And those are the best clients to work with, people. Those are the ones that you want. And if you can position yourself for that, then that's where you want to be.
Yeah. And they're comfortable paying that amount. They're willing to pay it. They understand the value in paying for it. And it just makes your life and your pocketbook a lot better.
Those clients won't pay for anything else. They're buying in that category, whether it's from you or from someone else.
Yeah, excellent point. All right. So I think we did a pretty good job of really, letting people know what Evergreen content is, why it's important, how to do it, and the value of it. So I think it's a good time to wrap things up and ask you a couple of questions that I ask everybody.
Sure.
The first one is, what is the hottest digital marketing technology that you recommend today?
So I'm an investor. I'll disclose that I'm an investor in this platform as well. But Divvy HQ, DIVVY HQ, it's a content marketing management platform. It's been around for a while. It's been award winning. If you want to have a plan, it is important to be able to be organized, to be able to collaborate, to be able to communicate. And if you're going to, I mentioned earlier that you don't have to have a process on day one, but if you're not working towards having a process on day one, you're never going to scale and get it to the point where you need to be. Creating quality content is about collaboration and communication on many days. So that's a platform that I'm really happy about when it comes to that regard. And then some other things too, like, and I don't know if this is truly digital marketing technology, but, what are you going to do when you get someone to your site? Like, I think that's a mistake a lot of people make. They're really great at generating traffic, but they're not doing a very good job of collecting it, or what are you trying to achieve? So like we use gigabook.com to take appointments and streamline certain processes and stuff like that. So, I mean, there's a lot of stuff out there that can help you get forward. I'm curious what your favorite is.
Wow. Okay. So I'm using it actually right now. My current favorite is otter.ai. It transcribes on the fly, and it's about 90% accurate. And then it goes back and checks itself and then updates itself. And I just find it fascinating because I don't even have to write the blog articles anymore. It's doing it for me. So this podcast turns into a blog article, and it's all unique content. You and I have never said these exact same things before.
Yep.
And just makes it super easy. So,
and by the way, that's a great way to create large volumes of content. I've done that partially with the books that I've written. You speak a lot faster than you can type. And one of the challenges that writers have in general is putting a voice in it. They sound robotic or it's boring. If you are transcribing your presentations or your voice and your message, it has a little more flavor to it.
Totally agree. Totally agree. So let's go to the final question. Question number 2. Who in your opinion is the most influential person in marketing today?
I get it. When I filled out the form, I said Gary V because I see him everywhere. But here's the thing: I don't really spend a lot of time listening to Gary. I see him everywhere, and that's why I gave that answer. But there's a lot of people out there doing a lot of different things. I mean, I just like Gary's approach just because he's not afraid to. I mean, he's just who he is, man. Cuss words and all. But I appreciate that because my team is going to be super proud of me that I made it all the way through this show without swearing.
This is PG-13. So
yeah, I get it. We blanket mark in all Startup Hustle episodes with explicit because we have a hard time getting. Hey, as an entrepreneur, it's hard to not describe your journey without some F-bombs.
Oh yeah, I mean, no question. So one of the reasons I like the fact that you chose Gary V is because one of the answers you and I talked about was, once you build your brand up to a certain point, you could charge premium services. He's taken it to the next level where people come to him with huge business ideas. I mean, he's involved in sports marketing. He's involved in investments.
Well, he's an entrepreneur, and here's the thing: I like Tim Ferriss and his content, but he's not the same kind of entrepreneur like Gary is. Like Gary sells wine, and he's had his own line of shoes, and I'm like that. Like, let's talk about how we're going to make money and see if it's going to happen. And I have an easier time listening to someone like that than a self-proclaimed self-help person or
that's never done it.
Whatever. So yeah.
Okay. Love this podcast. We're going to have to do another one in 6 months or so.
Yeah, sure.
Where can people find you?
Where can't they find me?
That's a good answer.
I've been working, you talk about your long-term evergreen content marketing plan. I started mine 3.5 years ago so I used to be a ticket broker and I made a hell of a lot of money doing it. But with that, I only needed to exist in my little bubble. I had relationships and technology that didn't require a lot of human interaction. And when I knew the exit of that business was coming, I told my wife, I said, I need to reinvent myself. So she said, well, how are you going to do that? I said, well, I'm going to start by writing a couple books. And she's like, what the hell do you know about writing books? I don't know. I'm going to hire some people that are going to help me do it. So I have 3 books that are available on Amazon. The first one is Balance Me, A Realist's Guide to a Successful Life. Second one is $1 Million Bedroom, which is more popular than the first one. That's the story of my entrepreneurial journey. I actually started my first business in the extra bedroom in my home, and I had nothing but a credit card with an $8,000 limit, and turned that into $30 million worth of revenue over the following 8 years, and then became everything we do now. And then last year, I published my 3rd book called The Realist's Guide to a Successful Music Career. So I worked in music and ticketing for 15 years of my life, and that was more of a pet project. So those are out there. The Startup Hustle podcast is easily my most consumed content of all. We are consistently in the top 25 of all entrepreneurship podcasts on Apple. We're very proud of that, and publish episodes 5 days a week. In fact, Startup Hustle has gone so well that we actually brought in additional hosts. So I'm not, and my business partner and I are not the hosts on every episode, and we're moving towards a 365 day, publishing schedule, like every day. And past that, you can find more about my business at fullscale.io and some of the articles we talked about, which are largely about technology and entrepreneurship, in our blog.
Wonderful. And if you have any questions for Matt, please post them either on the blog post that you're reading this on, or on reach out to Matt directly and ask him there. So Matt, I really appreciate you having on the show. Great episode, and want to have you back for sure.
Yeah, no problem.